At the beginning of the movie, we see a shaman conducting an exorcism on a possessed girl named Haruni, while her anxious mother and sister Hannah sit downstairs, filled with fear and concern. After a while, as Haruni becomes unconscious, the shaman approaches her reciting prayers. However, she abruptly awakens, and the evil spirit within declares that it won't leave as it has found peace and eternity in her body. The shaman insists it belongs to hell, revealing its demonic face in the mirror, which shatters. The evil spirit screams in anger, and in the midst of this, we discover that Hanum cannot see properly. Following this, Hanum's mother brings her to the hospital, where Dr. Ahmad examines her eyes. He informs her mother that Hanum needs immediate surgery due to increasing pressure in her eyeballs, with a 30 to 40% chance of complete healing. However, Hanum's mother decides to cancel the eye operation, citing financial constraints. A flashback then reveals a scene where Haruni promises Hanum that she will secure the money for her eye operation and is willing to do anything for it. Later that evening, Ahmed visits Haruni's house to check on her. Suddenly, she wakes up, claiming she is dead because she chose death. Ahmed stays calm and begins reciting prayers, to which Haruni starts writhing in pain and claims she died against faith and her death shall bring vengeance. And then after some time, she becomes unconscious. They then descend downstairs, where Ahmad explains to Haruni's mom that Haruni's current condition is beyond medical assistance. Despite being a doctor, Ahmad discloses that his family has been practicing spiritual healing for generations, and he will help heal her daughter. He is convinced that whatever afflicts Haruni is the result of satanic influence, and also informs her that the supernatural occurrences are linked to the charms Haruni uses, subjecting her to relentless satanic attacks and keeping her in constant fear. That night, Ahmed, along with his spiritual team, conducts prayers at Haruni's house to facilitate her healing. The prayers inflict significant distress on Satan, who screams in pain. However, after some time, they hear the sound of breaking glass, and Haruni leaps from the window, making a dash for the forest. The entire team and Haruni's mom run after her to stop and catch her, leaving Hanum alone at home. Now, Hanum is waiting for their return at home when she suddenly hears sounds as if someone is descending the stairs. Fearfully, she goes upstairs to investigate and asks, "Who's there?" However, she doesn't see anyone, but suddenly, a ghost appears next to her. Meanwhile, Haruni jumps into a river and starts screaming. Ahmad informs everyone that she is seeking water because her body is burning. He begins reciting prayers to calm her down, and after some time, she becomes unconscious. They bring her back to the house, lay her on her bed, and proceed to tie her hands and legs. Ahmad informs Haruni's mother that it's the work of Satan and evil spirits, orchestrated by a shaman. Therefore, they must gather as much information as possible on any leads that may unravel the cause of these events. The following day, Haruni's mother calls Haruni's friend Sukma and pleads with her to assist them, to which Sukma assures her that she is willing to do anything to help. In a flashback, we see Haruni with Sukma discussing the use of charm needles, expressing her desire to earn more money. She mentions that Emil receives millions in tips, to which Sukma tries to explain the importance of gratitude for their current situation. However, Haruni insists that Emil's success is attributed to the charm needles. Meanwhile, Ahmed senses some paranormal activity in his office, and a mirror on the wall cracks and falls. He approaches, picks up a piece of glass, and looks through it while reciting prayers, and sees the reflection of the evil spirit behind him. When he goes there to check, a bed hits him, causing him to fall, and once again, he witnesses the evil spirit in front of him, after which he becomes unconscious. Following this, Haruni suddenly wakes up upon hearing some noises. She observes that the sounds are of scratching on the wall, with marks present on it. As she watches, an unseen entity starts scratching the floor and moves toward her, and before she can comprehend anything, the evil spirit suddenly attacks her. Hanum wakes up upon hearing Haruni's screams, and their mother goes to Haruni to calm her down and asks her to repent. However, Haruni bites her hand with her own teeth, causing her mother to get scared and rush outside to seek help. As she leaves, Hanum enters the room, and their mother calls Dr. Ahmad, who is lying unconscious in his office. Meanwhile, Haruni is about to attack Hanum, but their mother pulls her back and informs her that she has already called Ahmad for help. The following morning, Ahmad visits and informs Haruni's mother that she is beginning to forget her own identity, as the evil spirit has significantly affected her body. She asks him what happened to his forehead, to which he says he slipped and fell. He then gets up and notices the scratch marks on the walls. In a conversation with Ahmad, Hanum reveals that her sister did all this just to secure funds for her eye procedure. Overwhelmed with guilt, she expresses regret that Haruni had to endure such suffering. Ahmad reassures her, explaining that it's not her fault, and what matters right now is to keep her sister in her prayers and hope everything will go back to normal. Later that evening, Sukma arrives at Haruni's house with her dog Spartan. Haruni's mom introduces her to Dr. Ahmad, mentioning his expertise in treating spiritual diseases. Ahmad clarifies that he's not a shaman but an ordinary person blessed by God to understand the secrets of his creations. Following this, a flashback reveals Haruni wakes up hearing some noises in her rental home. When she comes out to investigate, she finds the sounds coming from a door. She closes the door, and as she turns to go back, another door slams shut, and the outer door opens, revealing a frightening, evil spirit. Filled with fear, Haruni rushes back to her room, locking herself in. The door of her room opens, and the evil spirit walks in, and this was her first encounter with that evil spirit. Sukma recounts finding Haruni in her room, as pale as a ghost, and the next day, she refuses to speak at all. She kept getting stranger day by day, and she has no doubt this was caused by charmed needles, because Haruni was competing with Amel, who also uses charmed needles. In the second flashback, Haruni is depicted as unwell, vomiting blood, and to her horror, she sees herself transformed into a demon in the mirror. Terrified, she attempts to escape, but discovers the door locked, with the bathroom echoing with the cries of a woman. When the door finally opens, she rushes out, encountering another woman who, although appearing as a demon in the illusion, is not the case in reality. Sukma explains that she took Haruni to the hospital, and later, seeking a solution for her constant agony, she brought her to the same shaman who had placed the charmed needles in her. However, upon arriving, she discovered that some people had already brought Amel to the same place, and her condition was even more critical, and she came to know shaman had taken the money and fled. Later, a picture of Amel's corpse goes viral, revealing her unnatural demise and the foul odor emanating from her decomposing body. She informs Haruni's mother that, based on her knowledge, the ritual Haruni underwent involved bathing in water with the scent of a decomposed corpse. Ahmad then recites something in a foreign language, and Sukma confirms that she heard Haruni memorizing the same chant. Ahmad clarifies that Haruni employed a charm called Banyu Mayit, also known as the water of the dead, by bathing herself with water used to cleanse the corpses of those who died by suicide. He knows how they can heal her, but it will not be an easy task, and he is going to find the spirit of the person who committed suicide and is now possessing Haruni. On her way back home, Sukma's car suddenly halts in the middle of the road. Anxious, she comes out to inspect the car and is shocked to find the engine bay filled with hairs. She grabs those hairs and pulls them out of the car, but when she gets back in, it still won't start. Then, in the rearview mirror, she glimpses the evil spirit, but when she steps out, she finds no one there. Now, when she enters the car and tries to restart it, she hears a noise from above, and soon after, she discovers the evil spirit crawling on the windshield. However, miraculously, the car starts, and she quickly drives away. Meanwhile, Hanum goes to Haruni and asks her if she remembers this ball. She mentions that she gave this ball to her on her 10th birthday, and that she saved her allowance just to buy her that ball. She expresses feeling guilty towards her, acknowledging that because of her disease, she has become like this. Haruni tries to attack her, but Hanum commands the evil spirit to leave her sister alone. She says that because she is blind, the evil spirit is powerless against her imagination, and she is not afraid. Just then, their mother pulls Hanum back and Hanum declares her intention to drive away the evil spirit from her sister. Her mother explains that it's not easy, and Hanum could end up getting hurt, and then she takes her away from there. On the other hand, Ahmad meets one of his friends Faisal for help, who asks him why he is still dealing with ghosts. Ahmad explains that he intended to quit and focus on being a doctor. However, these things seem to follow him no matter where he goes. Faisal asks him what he wants him to do, to which Ahmad says he would like to have all records of suicidal deaths in this town or nearby, as it's that corpse's bathwater that was used for the ritual. Later that night, the evil spirit haunts Hanum in her dreams, causing her to wake up frightened. She comes out scared, and the evil spirit briefly appears behind her, prompting her to throw holy water on it. Hearing the noise, Hanum's mother comes out, and Hanum tells her that the evil spirit is trying to get her. Meanwhile, Ahmed is attempting to decode something from his sacred books, when suddenly someone throws a ball into his room. He gets up to investigate and finds the evil spirit standing outside. Following her, he reaches a cave and tells the soul to let Haruni go, stating that her soul is lost because of her own deeds. The evil spirit then disappears, and as Ahmad moves forward, looking for her, the evil spirit suddenly haunts him, causing him to fall, and as he tries to grab his phone, he gets dragged out of that cave. The next day, when he visits Haruni's house, Hanum mentions that her mother told her she is making a bamboo cage. Just then, he receives a call from Faisal, who informs him that 3 women committed suicide in that particular month. Ahmad visits Faisal's office and suggests they need to check the bodies one by one, and he is sure that the shaman used one of these 3 bodies. Faisal asks him if it was an evil spirit or a devil that attacked him last night. Ahmad responds that it was the devil. The devil tricks the eye using the lost souls of those the earth won't let in. It flows inside Harun's blood with ease, and it's such a strange dimension and impossible to explain. Meanwhile, we see Hanum with Haruni, and she tells her that their mother informed her that Ahmad asked for a bird cage to be made out of yellow bamboo. Haruni reacts to this, and she begins growling in anger. Ahmad and Faisal visits the house of one of the women who committed suicide. Her ex-boyfriend Ramlin tells them that she was too emotional, full of jealousy, and very possessive. He explains that he has now married another woman, and they got married a year ago. A few days after the wedding, he received the news that Lily, his ex-girlfriend, killed herself. Ahmad says they need his help because this concerns other people's lives. Later that night, Hanum approaches Haruni with a bamboo and asks the evil spirit if she is scared of it. She informs her that Ahmad has prepared her exorcism and instructs her to be prepared to face punishment. However, the floor breaks, causing Hanum to fall, and Haruni grabs her by her throat. Just then, Ahmad reaches there with Faisal and tells Lily's spirit to see who comes to visit. The guy enters the room, and Ahmad tells Lily that the devil used her tortured soul to possess Haruni through blood. She must leave her body or she will continue suffering. Ramlin approaches her and asks for forgiveness, but Lily gets angry, and Ahmad begins reading prayers. After a while, Ramlin and Faisal leave the room, and Ahmad asks Lily's spirit to follow Ramlin. Haruni falls to her knees, and Ahmad tells her that her sins are hers to bear. She suffered by her own deeds and asks her to accept her punishments until God decides to forgive her. He then begins reading prayers, and after a while, the evil spirit comes out of her mouth, ultimately leaving her body. Ahmad then comes out, where we see Ramlin inside that cage. After a while, the cage begins moving on its own, and Ahmad tells Lily's spirit that she cannot enter this bamboo cage and orders her to go back to where she belongs. Suddenly, the cage stops moving, but Lily attacks Ramlin from above and pulls him up. Faisal shoots her, but nothing happens, and then Ahmad hits her with that bamboo, causing her to release Ramlin and disappear. Faisal then hears some noise and gets terrified seeing Lily's spirit moving towards him from above, but when he shoots her, she disappears again. Lily then rushes towards Ahmad, striking him and causing him to fall. Faisal assists Ahmad to his feet, and Ahmad takes out his tasbih, and when Lily attempts to reach Ramlin, he hurls the tasbih at her, causing her to burn and return to hell. Meanwhile, Haruni's mom and Hanum approaches Haruni and her mother wakes her up. Now, after a few days, after the operation, Hanum's vision has become a bit better. However, she hears a chilling laugh and a room door opens on its own. Anxious, she ventures into the room and discovers a woman sitting in a corner, laughing. Believing it to be Haruni, Hanum questions why she's wearing that dress. As the figure approaches, it reveals itself to be the malevolent spirit, and the movie ends here. Thanks for facing the frights with us. If you survived this video, drop a like, summon that subscribe button, and brace yourself for more horror. Until next time, stay spooked.